Hello and welcome. I'm Amanda Honigfort. I am a full-time journalist, and one of the things that I get asked all the time is, how do I know that I am getting my news from a credible news source? What are the best places to go to get real, true, impartial journalism and not opinion? So since I get asked that a lot by friends and family, I thought that would be a good thing to talk about today. Why should you believe me though? Well, I got my bachelor's degree in journalism and communications from St. Louis University, where my professors were longtime journalists, copy editors, and news people who really take journalism ethics seriously. Then I started my news career as an intern at Washington Week with Gwen Eiffel back in 2013, and since then I have worked consistently at local, national, and regional news outlets. Now that you know my background and where I'm coming from, let me dive into how you know that you are reading, listening to, watching real, true, impartial journalism. First and foremost, consider your source. Is your source your local newspaper, your local broadcast, or a legacy paper with a history of good journalism, such as the Washington Post, the New York Times, NPR, ABC, CBS, and is it the actual news program? Or are you looking at the editorial page? Though they aren't allowed to have inaccurate items, they don't have the same kind of fact-checking, copy editing, and they're not held to the same standard. Now, all credible journalism is going to follow a few central tenets. First, the journalist will not give you their opinion. Journalists are held to a standard of impartiality, which means we are not allowed to have an opinion on what we are covering. Whether or not you like those facts, journalists have to use the facts. And if we get something wrong, we have to print a retraction. Getting things wrong could mean we lose our jobs. Next, the general rule of thumb is 3 independent sources, and this is especially necessary on big topics such as politics, government, foreign affairs, domestic matters, things that really impact people's lives. You're going to see multiple sources. When we're vetting a source, we need to make sure that they're not getting the news from another source that we're already using. That's what we mean by independent. Also, when we're finding these 3 independent sources, we're keeping in mind what is their angle, what might they have gained from the news they're telling us, and we're making sure that they're a credible source, that they're not just telling us something that they want out in the press that they don't have any basis for. Another good rule of thumb is who's reporting it. If you're only getting it from one source ever, and it's national or world news, it's probably not good journalism. Now, that doesn't negate the outlets that are first to a story. If it's just been published a couple of minutes ago, give it some time. It may just be that they got the story first. But if it's big news, you'll start seeing it repeated in multiple outlets. And that's a good sign that it's something you should believe. So, consider your sources, consider their angle, consider what outlet you're reading it from, and how they present the information. The place where things get tricky is on outlets that have both pundits and commentators and journalists. So let's take CBS for example. They have 3 big offerings that are billed as news: 60 Minutes, CBS Evening News, and Face the Nation. So on 60 Minutes and the Evening News, there are a slew of producers and reporters whose job it is to make sure that everything they are delivering is fact. They are checking those, they are getting the independent sources, they are doing their best to bring you the important, impartial news of the day. Then on Face the Nation, they're considering it, they're discussing it, they're gonna have a lot of people on the show that aren't journalists. Politicians, pundits, commentators, etc. Though Face the Nation is doing their best to bring on credible people and keep an eye on what their guests are saying and correct them when they can if they notice something that is off, they can't make the promise that everything you hear is 100% true. So if you hear something on Face the Nation that you're questioning, go see who else is reporting it. Consider the facts, consider their bias, consider their position and where they say they got it from. And similarly, I would urge you to always consider where an outlet or a article that is editorial in nature is getting their facts from. If you hear it only on Fox or only on MSNBC, it's probably stretching the truth. If you only hear it in the editorial pages, it's probably stretching the truth. If you only hear it from your neighbor or your uncle or your cousin or your sister, it's probably stretching the truth. So to recap, journalism comes from your local paper, from your local outlets where the reporters are living in your community and where they have your best interests at heart. It's coming from big legacy news places such as the New York Times, the Washington Post, NPR, and a number of other sources. And it's coming from journalists who deal solely in fact, who do not use opinion, who find multiple sources, and who show you where they're getting their information from. So I hope this helps you think about what's journalism, what isn't. We are people who are doing our best to bring you information that we need. We take this job very seriously. My friend and fellow journalist Josh Helmuth posted a video recently about why the term the media and the news media is a misnomer. So if you are interested in continuing down this topic, I'm gonna link to that video. It is really worth a watch. Please, please, please watch his video as well. I'd love to hear from you in the comments below how you know you're getting good journalism or any questions you may have. And if you like this video, please like and subscribe. Thank you very much. Talk to you soon.